Op's uncle passed away, leaving behind a will. The uncle's greedy brother is the executor of the will and wants it changed to suit his wants and needs. Op refuses to sign off on it and gets into a fight with his family. Posted by u/Prophet Electronic 5741. Hello all. I am the beneficiary of a will that belongs to a deceased uncle. The executor, brother of the deceased, wants the will changed and has given me a document outlining the changes they would like made. Upon reading this document, it became clear that they do not care about what my uncle wanted. It just seems like they are rewriting the will to suit their own agendas. There is no way I am signing off on any changes to the will. Apparently, the executor has been saying that unless I sign off on the changes, they will not release any of the money locked up in the will. The executor made sure this ultimatum reached me indirectly. He has also been pretty careful not to say that he is not going to follow the will in our written communications. What can I do if the executor refuses to carry out the will? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. An executor can't change the will. Don't agree to anything and seek legal advice. Op's response. Thank you. Commenter 2. It might take 12 months, but if he is slow or doesn't distribute the estate, it just gives you more evidence he is not acting in the best interest of his position. VCAT, Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal, will side with you. VCAT won't like the fact he's trying to change the will, regardless of whether you have evidence he's trying to force you to agree or not. He would also be liable to pay you interest. It seems like he thinks that, as executor, he gets to make the rules, but it actually makes him liable to a set of laws he doesn't understand. Op's response. It has already been 18 months. He was supposed to sell the contents of the house and divide the profits. Instead, he simply told the beneficiaries to just take what they want. This can't be legal. Commenter 3. Depending on the wording of the will, it's not. In other words, if the beneficiary is deeded a specific item and they receive it, job done. If that's not the case, then, as you say, document everything and seek legal advice now, not Reddit. Op's response. I will definitely hire a lawyer. Update 2 months later. I went to see a solicitor. His take is this. 1. The executor cannot change the will. 2. I should inform the lawyers handling the will that I will not sign off on any changes. 3. Other than point 2, I just need to sit tight for now. While this saga has dragged on for nearly 2 years, the executor only sold the last of my uncle's assets 6 months ago. The executor gets a full year to distribute the will. In 6 months' time, I can remove this executor. It will cost $50,000 to prepare the case and another $80,000 if it goes to court. Does this sound right? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. An executor is legally bound to quickly and efficiently disperse assets as dictated by the will. If the executor is a beneficiary and wishes to contest the contents of the will, they need to do so in the courts just as any outsider would have to if they wanted to argue that they were left out and deserve a slice. Without a court order, they cannot change the will or fail to carry out its instructions. Op's response. Everyone says this, but they are pretty unclear on what happens when an executor does defy the will. In this case, the executor has started releasing money to the other beneficiaries without me signing off on it. Second update 3 weeks later. I, 30M, have gone no contact with my siblings and uncles. The dispute started when my uncle died. He left me a lot of money. My cousins got a share of the will, but only some land that they are already living on overseas. Unfortunately, the executor of the will did not like this. He argued that the cousins should have an equal share. The executor wrote out their own version of the will, and my siblings have had various reactions to it. Sibling 1, anything my uncle suggests is right. Anyone challenging the executor is effectively tearing the family apart. Sibling 2, our cousins need a greater share. I am happy to give 75% of my share away to the cousins. Sibling 3, this is awful, but I cannot challenge the executor as he is family. Myself, the executor cannot do this. My uncle made it clear what he wanted in the will. The deceased's instructions are more important than family politics. We can compensate the cousins after the will is carried out. I have made it clear that I will not sign off on the executor's changes. His response has been to move forward with it regardless, and it looks like I will need to take him to court. While I have been weighing my options, my siblings have been pretty hostile toward me. I went no contact with sibling 3 for a while after he left me a voice message. He doesn't just shout at people when he's angry, he really tries to destroy them. His longtime girlfriend mysteriously refuses to marry him, but when I heard this message, I finally understood. She always wants to have the option of leaving this psycho. Anyway, my siblings have been pretty toxic. I suspect the executor has told them that they won't receive their share of the will until I sign off on the changes. I have gone no contact with all of them. I am not going home for Christmas this year. My wife noticed that I am the only happy person at my family events, so she is supportive of me going no contact. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. You're definitely not the jerk for wanting to protect your own interests and stand up for what your uncle intended. Family dynamics can get messy, especially when money is involved. It's great that your wife is supportive of you. Prioritizing your mental health is so important. Take care of yourself. Ops response. Thank you. I also feel for the other side of the will issue. My cousins are from a less wealthy country. The money will really change their lives. I just think that I should decide how much I donate, not the executor. Third update 3 months later. A lot has happened since my last update, so I will try to pick out the key points. The executor was not happy that I contacted the lawyers handling the estate. He got angry and tried to find out what I had told the lawyers. The lawyers confirmed to me that they received my email and mentioned that they were taking appropriate action. The executor ceased communicating personal attacks toward me and conducted himself in a more conciliatory manner. He said that making no changes to the will was also an option, whereas previously he had maintained that option was off the table. The executor attempted to get my family to bully me into accepting his changes. This consisted of angry messages with a lot of exclamation marks. I simply broke off contact with anyone trying this on. About a month after this, the executor conceded defeat. He said that the will was being passed without changes. After an excruciating wait of about a month, the lawyers handling the estate contacted me asking for my bank details. 8 full weeks went by. The estate lawyers ignored my emails, and they avoided my phone calls. Today, I sent an email to the estate lawyers asking whether anything was wrong with the will situation. I pointed out that it had been 8 weeks. To my surprise, within 30 minutes, they sent me a waiver to sign agreeing not to sue them or the executor in exchange for my share of the will. The sum was transferred to my bank account by the end of the day. I can't imagine what caused such a sudden change after 8 weeks. I'm just relieved that this saga has come to a close and that there was no need for a court case. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. The estate lawyers probably spent 8 weeks trying to talk sense into your uncle, their client. Glad it all worked out in the end. Your uncle sounds like every solicitor's nightmare client. Commenter 2. They probably had a full conversation with him, and he spilled the beans on his activities. I imagine he was told to shut up and hope you didn't start investigating legal action against him and possibly the lawyers. Ops response. Yeah, something must have gone down. Commenter 3. The waiver and 8 weeks of no contact make me think that something dodgy was happening with the estate account funds, that they didn't have the funds ready to disperse to your account, or maybe disperse them to the incorrect account, and it took 8 weeks for them to reclaim those funds and then distribute them to you. Hence the waiver. At least, ultimately, it sounds like you got what was owed to you. So, a happy outcome without you being required to sue them, which is costly for you and also drains the estate of its funds, so it's like you have to pay double legal fees. Ops response. Thank you. That sounds plausible. I thought it was weird that the lawyers wanted to protect themselves from being sued. Commenter 4. Without seeing the actual wording of the waiver, there is usually some sort of indemnity document that estate lawyers like to have signed by the beneficiaries. It's there to sort of prevent any future claims. In my case, the beneficiaries refused to sign, but we had dealt with the estate to the letter of the law, so the likelihood of anyone bothering to go to a lawyer to claim otherwise was very slim. In your case, the executor has been a bit dodgy, so the lawyers would really want to cover their asses. I suspect they've struggled to get the executor to listen to them. People have no idea about the law, and if they don't like the advice, it can take a lot of effort to convince them to do things properly. Glad it worked out and didn't end up in court.